Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review for Tensei Shitara Slime Datta or just Tensura Season 2 Part 2. A lot of you said you were excited for me to talk about this one, but honestly, I have nothing but praise to give, so it might be a little on the shorter side, because I have nothing but good things to say. For me personally, at least. I personally really liked this and really like what we got here, but I also feel like while watching through it, it was like, okay, I'm really enjoying this, but this is one of those, it's not for everyone type of things. I could definitely see people thinking that it was too slow or too boring for them. People wanting a bit more action, a bit more adventure. I could see that. But for me personally, I really enjoyed it. So as usual, it's based on a light novel, though manga adaptations exist, and there's also like some weird other stuff. Like I talked about it last video, there's like a children's version or something, but I don't know what that is. I just kind of see the term thrown around here and there, so I don't know if it's like a family-friendly version of the same story or like what that means, but I have heard that before. I've heard the term at least, and it's animated by 8-Bit, who did a great job with it once again. It's so interesting, the style difference between this and Tensura and Tensura was really well animated, but it's neat. It's the same studio, but such a difference in style. It's like, it's weird that it's the same property, the same studio, and yet it looks so different. Very odd there, but I love the focus on fantasy politics, because when we talk about this half season, or really just this season, when things release in like, a split core like this, really, for me, it's generally like 2 seasons. In effect, it's basically 2 seasons. So if we're counting this, season on its own and everything, which is what I'm reviewing it as, it spends nearly, or maybe even over, the first half just talking, just characters sitting around hashing out plans and like the deals and relationships between the different groups and kingdoms and all of that are going on, just fantasy politics. And while it is honestly a bit much, because they really went above and beyond, again, episodes upon episodes of just that, basically, to the point where I was like, okay, a lot of people who just want action or adventure, or who want a bit more action adventure, they might not like this, or again, they might think it's a bit much, but I personally really enjoyed it. There's not much else out there that's really like that, so it felt unique, it felt different, and what I think really worked for it, and as we go into the action stuff, because once we get through that, we get into the action stuff, and the action's really fun, the action's really good when we do get to it, and I think that what makes both the action and the political stuff before it work is that season 2 of, or part 2 of season 2, really focused on characters other than Rimuru in the best way that the series has done so far. The series so far, yeah, we have other characters around. In fact, we have a ton of other characters around, but most of them are kind of just there to complement Rimuru. Almost all of the focus is on Rimuru, what Rimuru's doing, what Rimuru's thinking, where Rimuru is, and we don't see away from him what other characters are doing or thinking or anything like that all that often in comparison. But we do it a lot more here. We finally get to have a lot of the characters stand on their own, and they did a little bit of that in part 1, and I think that's some of the best stuff of part 1, but even better here. They did it even better here. So I do think one way to describe it really well is just fun. They do a very good job. Like, the stakes are there. It does feel like there are some stakes, but really with all the characters and everything going on with them, it just feels very fun. Even during serious moments, they're doing funny comedy bits, and the characters themselves and their relationships with each other are just very fun, and the comedy, I think, really works with it. As far as production quality goes, I mentioned it a little bit before, I've just really got no complaints. I think they did a good job once again. It's not like the craziest thing I've ever seen or anything like that, but it also, I would say, was solidly average to above average. There was never any bit of animation where I was ever like, oh, well, that's kind of questionable, or oh, that's not good. It was just good the entire way through. Mentioning the opening and ending, I think the opening's very good. I think the ending was also really good, but for me, I don't know what it is. Like, in hindsight, thinking back on it, I was like, oh yeah, it's a good ending. But as I was watching through episode to episode, I definitely felt like the ending, to me personally, was more skippable than some of the past ones. But again, I don't really know why I felt that way, because, again, looking at some of the past ones, looking at this ending, I think I might have accidentally said opening earlier, but looking at this ending, I think this ending was good, but yeah, it felt a little bit skippable compared to past ones. So I do think the opening and ending, both good. Ending, maybe a little bit skippable for me. If I had any complaint, any criticism for the entirety of the season, really, it's maybe that at the end there, Clayman, and it's crazy because I think there's a Clayman spinoff too. I don't know if it's a light novel or a manga or whatever. I think there's a Clayman spinoff. It's weird to make him a protagonist of one, given that he was portrayed so lame here. And again, it kind of works. It's nice seeing the characters get the upper hand that we're cheering for. The comedy of it's good and all, but he was almost too ineffective, almost too outplayed at every moment. Clayman was almost just too lame for me, and I think that's maybe my only complaint, is that Clayman didn't do at least a little bit better as a villain. Some of Rimuru's moments where Rimuru was just clueless about something or was like overconfident and was shown up because of that. I liked stuff like that with Rimuru this time around again, and that adds in more to the letting other characters do cool things and letting other characters have their moments. That happened so much more here than it had in the past, which is good. Of course, I like Rimuru, I like Rimuru's moments and everything, but it was so nice seeing other characters get their time too. And then as far as, you know, what I do at the end of every review, the favorite character, waifu, and relationship, I try not to like overlap and pick the same character too much for these. Favorite character, I liked pretty much everybody. I think pretty much all of the characters, even the minor ones that we didn't get to see a lot, I enjoyed. I think the cast of characters here was very, very good. My favorite, though, I'm gonna say Ramiris. I thought, like, even though it's hard to choose between them, I think Ramiris was just so funny to me and so fun. Again, I could see people finding Ramiris annoying, but I think that Ramiris is super fun. I think that Milim is probably my second place. Milim's a character that, you know, before this I've been reviewing and stuff. I think I liked Milim, but Milim was just kind of, you know, another one of those characters that's part of a massive cast that I just liked. But Milim, I think, was actually second place here, because towards the end, with all of the stuff that Milim did, again, not being too spoilery, even though you've probably already watched if you're watching this, obviously. But with everything that Milim did, I think that she was really fun and really good here. But Ramiris just had more of a presence, and I find Ramiris super funny. When it comes to waifu, if I'm trying to pick somebody I haven't already picked, I've already said Haruna and Ririna, I've already said Ramiris, I've already said Shuna. Don't know if I've already said Shion or not, but I'm going to say Beretta for this. You know, puppet girls, let's go. So I'm going to say Beretta for this. And then for relationship, it's got to be Rimuru and Veldora. Veldora was another one who I haven't specifically mentioned yet. Another really great character, really funny. Probably up there as one of my favorites too. Veldora was just really, really fun, especially much like Milim towards the end. Was really, really fun. So I would say that Rimuru and Veldora, their relationship's my favorite. But I think that's all I have to say, but of course, like usual, we can talk more in the comments or anything else. So, like, if you did like the video, comment down there to tell me what you thought of my review, what you thought of this half season, my thoughts on everything. We can talk down in the comments, we can talk on Twitter if you want, or on Discord. It's free and open for anyone. If you would like to help support the channel by dropping a super thanks or sharing around, that's appreciated. If you want to subscribe, if you're new here and want to subscribe for more anime reviews, manga read-throughs and reviews, webtoon stuff, just whatever I feel like making, tons of things. If you want to subscribe for more, it would be appreciated too. And if you want to not only help support the channel, help me to keep making videos, but also get your name at the end of videos and get One Piece Bingo early. I do One Piece Bingo every week. Then you can hit join down below to become a member. Go to patreon.com/HakuOfTheTubes, or a link will be in the description to become a patron. Thank you so much to people who are already patrons and members. Thank you to chosen regulars Evan Holly and Bertie Wooster, Magical Girls, Fnono JA and the D Band, Jeritan Student, David Langstaff, Slayer Candidates, SG and Stan Cedar, and Pure Elements, Pater Deal, and Elsa the Storyteller. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.